Bonjour les amis. This is Generator coming to you directly from the City of Light. I'm Jane Bertch, a Chicago native, Paris-based entrepreneur, author, and your partner in personal reinvention. I've spent the past 20 years living and working in Paris, and after leaving the corporate world and deciding to create something of my own, I've discovered both the beauty and the challenge of building a life shaped by curiosity, creativity, and a sprinkle of courage. These are the practices that lead to true transformation. So whether you're planting a seed in your jardin secret, your secret garden, or giving voice to your creativity for the very first time, let's step into your next chapter with intention. And of course, with a touch of Parisian charm. So as we say in French, on y va, let's go. Bonjour friends. Welcome back to Generate Her. Wow. It's really hard to believe that we have made it to this point in the year. I don't know where the time is going. And I feel like I'm always saying that. Not to be obsessed with time, but do you also recognize and see how things are just moving so quickly? And here we are in the heat of summer. And I say heat of summer because, as you know, I'm in France. And I just had a discussion with a friend that lives in the US, and she's packing up her stuff after a long Paris séjour. And she says to me, Jane, I feel like summer's ending. She's heading back. And I think, wow, it's literally just beginning here. I feel like I'm always saying, oh, this is my favorite time of the year. I will confess to you, this is not my favorite time of year. This is one of the most challenging times of year for me. And I want to share that with you, and I want to talk through it with you because this is where we find our biggest growth. We know that in challenges. This is the great Parisian pause. The city has emptied out and will continue to empty out. And you'll know by now that people that take vacations in July are juilletistes. That's their name. That's how sacred vacations are here in France. We have names for when you go on vacation. So the people that go on vacation in July, they're juilletistes. Those that go in August, they're Aucian. Very hard for me to pronounce. And we have this fun weekend that is the first weekend between July and August called the Chassé Croisé. It's the holiday weekend where the departures and the returns are coming, and it is one of the most heavily traveled weekends. I guess it's kind of like Thanksgiving. If they say that Thanksgiving is one of the heaviest traveled weekends in the US. So a lot builds up around this culture, and I call it the Great Parisian Pause. I'm not the one to have coined that, but it certainly is. So you'd be asking yourself, why doesn't Jane like it? Because I've realized pausing is really hard. It's really hard. And I feel hypocritical because don't you know, I did an Instagram post reminding people that the ability to pause is your new flex. And I made it look so easy. And it's not. It is a flex because it takes a lot of courage and a lot of confidence and a lot of security to step back and say pause. But we know why that's so important. I really don't need to go down the list, do I? It refreshes you. It gives you a different perspective. It lets you step back and see the forest for the trees. We know all of this. But what we don't normalize and what we don't talk about is how hard it is. And for me in particular, I want to share why it's so hard. Historically, I have a business here that runs during a tourism cycle. So that means a lot of the clients that we see every year are here during this period. So when you tell me, or frankly, any small business owner, oh, just take a vacation, it's just not that easy. And taking time out of the office often just means working remotely. It doesn't mean that you switch off. You kind of can't. You have people you're responsible for. You have obligations that don't go away because it is the holiday month. So it's just called lifing. And I think anybody with a small business or a business or any responsibility listening to this will get that. And yes, there's different degrees to which you need to stay engaged, but the point is, if something goes wrong, you're the one that needs to step in. You're the one that needs to make sure the ship is running smooth. So even if I am not at my business daily, in fact, I haven't been in my first business for any substantial time for a while because, as you know, I'm trying to grow another one. I want to talk about that for a bit. I'm still there mentally. I still have clients that I know that come. I still want to make sure things are running smoothly. I'm still very concerned about processes. These are things that keep the business smooth so that I can step away for a little and I can pause. So that's hard. The other reason it's hard, let's face it, we have everything around us pushing us to act now, buy now, make a decision. FOMO, you don't want to miss out. You want to be a part of this. So there's nothing in our world that says step back from the constant scrolling, the way the algorithms work. Everything keeps you engaged. There's very little around us that says pause. So that's hard. Let's add on to that those that have responsibilities. They have caretaking responsibilities. They have lots of people or things that require their attention. They have aging parents. They have children. They have health issues for themselves and others. I mean, the list goes on. So we make it look so wonderful to sit and stroll and journal. And I did that the other day and I felt eternally guilty about it because I know how hard it is. So I hope whoever saw that post, I hope it did one thing for them. I hope it made them want to be a rebel. I hope seeing where me sitting there journaling, looking like everything is calm, I hope it made them say, you know what? I'm going to have my active resistance tomorrow and I'm going to take my damn pause. So if it did that, I'm happy for it. But if it made you believe that it's just so easy, I apologize. And I hope this reassures you. I know it's not easy. I know we have so much noise. But here's the fun thing, and perhaps this is the most Parisian of them all. And I don't use that word for myself, or I use it very rarely. It's this act of resistance. It's this saying, I'm going to take this back for myself. So let me tell you how I'm doing that this summer. I've never enjoyed vacations. There's the dirty truth. I don't like tuning out. I never have. What I love is the time to tune in, that sacred space that allows me to really daydream, to imagine, to come up with all these things in my mind, delusional and not, that I hope to act on. That's my idea of rest. And again, in our society of you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, we tell you how important a pause is, but we do everything to make it impossible. And then if you're like me, who actually loves to stay busy, I love to create, even in my mind, if not physically, you're made to feel guilty about it. I love the act of creation, which means an active mind. So my ideal vacation, which does not exist yet, maybe I'll create it, is going away with a group of fabulous people, perhaps entrepreneurs, business owners, industry experts, and just imagining and dreaming and coaching each other and pushing each other and imagining what could be. That to me is pure, pure enjoyment and relaxation. Sitting on a beach for hours will never be that for me. And so I've had to get okay with that. And I've had to accept that. And I am happy to stand by that for me. But here's the bottom line. We all have the right to choose what works for us. So I do absolutely believe in a pause, but I want you to know what it means for me. So whatever you take away from this as to how you want to pause, please do and share it with me. Let's remind each other that it's okay to do it in a manner that works for us. So what are my pauses? I love to walk between meetings. I love to take a new street as I'm walking. I see and I notice things. I consciously try to look around while I'm moving through the city. as small as that seems. But it's noticing the facades, it's noticing the plaques on the doors, it's noticing the door handles. A lot of this I'll never see if I'm not present, but the enjoyment of discovering something new because I took a different route or I took the same route. This is even more delicious. I took the same route, but I noticed something different. I was walking down or through Ile Saint Louis. You can see it right down that street that goes straight through the middle. And I have done that countless times. I cannot tell you how many times I've done that in 20 years of living in this city. And I paused and I looked up and I saw on the house a plaque that said, "This is where Christo and Jean Claude live." And if those names mean anything to you, they were icons in Paris. And they decorated Pont Neuf in gold fabric 40 years ago. I would have loved to have seen that. And guess what? You'll know that just this year, in honor of their 40th anniversary, JR did it. This is not meant to be a Paris history lesson. It's just meant to remind you to take a different direction, to take the time to explore it, which means just being present. And for 20 seconds, probably not longer, I stood in front of this Parisian building and I was dazzled that I discovered this. That was my pause. Or my pause is my morning journaling. I've talked about that. You know that I journal in the morning. You know that I love to have that moment just to express myself, to go through what's on my mind. That's my pause. Or today, I stopped at a cafe I know and I sat and I had a noisette, which by the way is an espresso with milk, and a Perrier. And I just watched the world go by for about 20 minutes. That's a pause that I love. Or maybe it's with a friend, taking time in the middle of the day to go to an exhibit together. That's a pause. And all of those I consider luxurious. And I feel proud of myself for taking time to do them. That's the real nourishment for me. So as you're listening to this, I want you to think, how can you be the most Parisian version of yourself? And that is being unequivocally, let's use the word selfish, with where you spend your time and having the courage to say, this moment is for me. That's the real win in the pause. So this is a short one this month. Here we are in the height of the Parisian pause, and we know all the things it gives us, which is really just the moment to stop and reflect. That's what it's about, isn't it? And that stopping and reflecting is what helps you grow and develop into where you're trying to be next. For me, that's where my best ideas come from. That's where I am toying around in my mind this new beautiful business that I'm working on, the things I want to offer, the beautiful women I want to connect with. It's in those pauses. But for me, and maybe for you, those pauses are little small moments through the day. So let's remind ourselves to do it your way. Find what works for you, whatever that may be. Own it and love it and make it yours. So I'm wishing you the most wonderful summer you have. Here in Paris, it feels like it's just beginning. And the next time you hear from me, we will be at La Rentrée, which really is one of the most magical times of the year. That's the beauty of a pause, is when you pause, you have this beautiful return moment and you pick up just where you left off. So that's all for now. A bientôt, mes amis. See you soon. Before we go any further, if what I've been talking about today resonates with you, I want you to know there's a space for you
that I've created. Several times a year, I gather a small group of women in Paris for what I call les saisons, the seasons. These are my retreats. They are very tiny, very intimate. Each one is designed around the time of year. So not just the season we're in physically, but hopefully the season we're in our internal seasons. And it's just a wonderful time to return to ourselves. In spring, we talk about planting. In September, it's the rentrée season, which is a beautiful time in Paris. And in the fall, it's the harvest, la vendange, because how can we not talk about wine and all those wonderful messages? So these are not spa weekends, they're not shopping, they're not tourist trips. These are 3 days in one of the most transformative cities in the world, designed to help you pause and realign and start to really think and step into what's next for you. And the women who come, they're curious, they're brave, they're open-hearted, they're just phenomenal. They're hopeful, they're community-based. And if that sounds like you, I'd love to have you join. So take a look at my website. I'm constantly updating different dates for Les Saisons retreats. And I'd love to have you here. You can find them all at janebertch.com/retreats.